Welcome everybody to another Voice of Nick show. We're doing more of this Tolkien art book here. We're going to keep working on our picture of ULMO, who I found out that that's the Valar that this was. I was saying Orome, which I think is the forest one. So let's go back to, I'm going to pull up my ocean waves reference here. And let's bring in, these are our colors for the ocean stuff. One thing I wanted to do was I want to get a little bit of purple in here. And here, and I guess here too. This, trying to make it so my screen shows, oh, you know what, I could do this. Good. This is all spray in these parts here, so we got to come up with some kind of interesting way to convey that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just like a kind of almost stippling look. Pull in another type of blue here. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So here we're going a little heavier because it's like behind his head. Maybe we'll even stick in like a darker, a few drops of a darker color. Yeah, okay. It's kind of making me wish I did more of this sort of stippling look. Maybe I'll sort of retroactively put that in for some of the other spray areas. Well, actually, yeah, we want to put it in sort of outside of the waves as well, which, you know, this is going to get eaten by whatever sky we have behind it if we do put a sky in, but we'll make sure to we'll include it for now. We're just gonna paint the corner of that frame so there's something there. All right, that's pretty cool. Let's maybe get I feel like I'm missing one of my colors here. Is it this one? Is this blue or purple? Oh, it's a very deep blue. I think I'm gonna leave that one out of the lexicon, despite the fact that, like, oh, blue, oceans, blue, you know, that kind of like obvious connection. I don't want to use too many obvious color choices. Okay, there's an interesting effect that occurs let's see if we can capture it. It's an effect that occurs with, we're gonna use these two colors here mostly. It occurs with like curls like this, But I'm seeing where it gets really light on the inside. Gotta go with a very light hand on this stuff. And we're gonna hit this with more dark tones just to kind of occlude it a little bit more. I think it wants to be a little darker, sort of coming out of this circle. Yeah, maybe more like that. Okay, cool. Now I'm choosing to make this thing also a piece of water, whereas it might have been intended to be like a physical, sort of horn or something. But I think it's cool if it's like also constructed of water. Cool. Now what? Oh, I didn't get any of the dark shade. Purple is our shadow color on this picture, which is a nice... Purple shadows are always nice to have, but especially in water, it works for us pretty well. Obviously, the go-to that anyone would typically choose for shadows is black. But when you learn to see colors a little bit more, with a little bit more of like a color vocabulary, let's say, you start to realize that there's a lot more things that read as black than just black. Black, after all, is not a color, it's a shade. And it doesn't really occur in the real world. It's only things that we read as black. They're not actually black. They're really a dark blue or a dark brown or whatever. So it's going to be important for us to separate this piece here, which is mostly going to occur when we put in some shadow shades or colors or whatever. So let's put that in. It's weird to be working with like the lighter colors and to have to kind of like guess how it's going to work when the whole piece is put together. Maybe this one? That's kind of nice. This is kind of our transitional color for the dark blue. We're gonna add this to the lexicon here. One of the big things I'm trying to do here as well is to follow the shape of the direction of the lines, because this is obviously such a kinetic piece of art by the person who drew it. The waves are very clearly flowing in a certain direction and surging and sort of following that shape with the pen strokes is definitely a good way to kind of preserve that movement in the picture. Cool, yeah, it's looking good. Let's get his helmet in there. I want to come up with an idea for his helmet. I think I want to do like a... Oops. What does a conch shell look like? Or... let's see, what's that swirly looking shell? Yeah, like the hermit crab shell. That'd be cool. Thank you to It's Just Calvin for the follow. Oh, and welcome to the chat. Lovely drawing. Thank you. It's not my drawing, but it is my coloring. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're working on a J.R.R. Tolkien themed coloring book. Let's see here. I don't like the drabness of this shell. Let's look at a different shell. This one's pretty cool. Okay, so for this I would have to come up with a few different color concepts. Let's see here. This, and maybe this. This would be like the kind of palette. Yeah, that's good. Also good. This could be a good shadow color. I don't see much use for this. We'll leave that on the sidelines. We can do something with that. Maybe this pale orange. No, it sort of reads the same as the other one. Maybe this peach. Oh no, we have a peach. What are you up to today? It's just Calvin. Maybe this one. Sort of gold looking. And this is a dead marker. So our four colors would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we get enough out of that? I think we can. I don't have much of a good plan for what I'm gonna do here, but let's just jump into it, I guess. have it be like this is kind of like a shadow color almost. Oop. Okay, so how does this one read? This sort of comes out as, yeah, I like that. Let's take a look at this. That's kind of cool. I think if I were doing it again, I would have decided between using this purple as a shadow color or an accent color, because now this sort of reads as an indentation. And we don't really want to meddle too much, but I think we'll just kind of kill the conch effect and try to go for something else. And welcome Jay Cruz into the show. I love your Twitch handbook on Spotify. Thanks, appreciate that, and welcome in. For anybody who doesn't know what Jay Cruz is talking about, the Twitch Playbook is a free weekly podcast that I created to help you guys with your Twitch channels. It's on iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. I'm glad that you like it, and welcome into the show. We are currently coloring in a J.R.R. Tolkien coloring book. Okay. Good. This is one of those things where I'm not 100% happy with the choice on this, but I think we just want to stop meddling, or we're just going to turn it muddy, which we already have done to an extent. So let's move on to another section here. This part's going to be really choppy because all the waves are kind of converging to bend his arm. So I definitely want to get across this kind of very chaotic ocean spray. And we're going to cheat this part, I guess, to be lighter than the horn, just so it doesn't get lost. Oh, that's my computer. All right. Welcome, Lady Frostwolf, to the show. We are currently working on a Tolkien coloring book here. Lady Frostwolf saying, "May I ask what you're drawing?" So it's a yeah, within this Tolkien coloring book, it is a image from, I guess it's depicting something that happens in the Silmarillion. I'm assuming it is that it is ULMO, the Valar of the sea, who kind of controls the ocean and stuff. So he's depicted here, I guess, as like a, you know, living wave or something, and I gave him kind of a seashell helmet and seaweed beard and hair. I don't know if that's the way it was meant when it was drawn. It's not my drawing, but you know, we're coloring it in with markers. Lady Frostwolf saying like a water god. Yeah, so I guess a lot of people who enjoy Tolkien's works may not realize that or be aware of like some of his other stuff. So like outside of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the world that those things take place in has a whole history of like gods and you know, all these things that don't really show up in Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. But there's sort of like a creation myth, and there's kind of like Greek god type beings in Middle-earth. This guy obviously being like the Poseidon type, and then there's all different ones, and then there's minor gods, and some of those minor gods ended up becoming like the wizards and, you know, different beings that exist within the more popular Tolkien stories. And then this coloring book, which I thought was kind of a cool thing because I don't see a lot of stuff depicting extended Tolkien stuff, but this coloring book sort of shows all of Tolkien's stuff, not just the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. So it has those, but it also has a lot of Silmarillion stuff. I assume that the Lord of the Rings TV show is going to go into a lot of the other Tolkien stuff besides what was in, you know, what we all kind of know from the movies. But anyway, yes, like a water god, yeah. So there's one color that I'm leaving out here. It's the green that we had on the left. I think I'm using a different thing here. J. Cruz saying, I thought becoming a Twitch streamer / content creator was almost unattainable for me because of my work schedule, but you inspired me to, quote, just do it. And now I love streaming. I'm glad to hear that. It's very nice of you to, you know, come in and let me know about that. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that the podcast helped you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And welcome in. So we are gonna do... I think we're pretty good on his stuff. Ross was saying that there's a Lord of the Rings TV show? Oh, yeah. Where have you been hiding, Lady Frostwolf? Yes, I'm pretty excited for it. It's actually the most expensive TV show ever made. It's coming out, I think, in December. Amazon bought the rights to Lord of the Rings, and I'm pretty sure the show, including the acquisition of the Lord of the Rings property, cost them $1 billion. If I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. It's like a crazy expensive project. There's apparently a couple trailers out and stuff. I saw one trailer, but then I don't like to really watch trailers, so you can find that stuff on YouTube. I want to say there's like 2 or 3 trailers. And yeah, it's basically it's called the Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, and it's a my understanding is that it would be a sort of prequel to the movies, to The Hobbit as well, where it's sort of telling, I'm pretty sure it's going to tell like stories about like, you know, the elves, Feanor and all them, you know, and Numenor, which is the race of sort of like Supermen that Aragorn came from, you know, all that stuff. I don't really know though, because I don't really like to look up info about shows that I'm going to watch or movies that I'm going to watch. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. J. Cruz saying, what? Yeah. It's a big undertaking that they're doing. I'm sort of upset that Peter Jackson's not working on it. Apparently Amazon approached him and then like cut off ties with him for some reason. So some other people are doing it, and I hope it's good. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stories within Tolkien's world besides Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that are worth telling. The Silmarillion is essentially like Tolkien's Bible, where Tolkien's Old Testament, I guess you'd say, where it's just like a million stories of like crazy stuff that happened in Middle-earth, that's sort of like before the history of Lord of the Rings. So there's like all these dragons and, secret hidden cities and, the guy that looks back and turns into a pillar of salt. Like, there's all the same type of stuff as the Bible, just like how the Bible pulled from Greek myths and all that stuff. That Tolkien, being like a historian himself, kind of like made into this like crazy huge book full of stories. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have the rights to Lord of the Rings, but like the time era that they're pulling from is stuff that was in the Silmarillion. Okay, so we have pretty much the whole left side of this picture. Now we have another side of this picture, which is the person on the shore looking. This is actually this is the title page that we're coloring in. I don't know if we're really gonna go left to right on this book, but I thought this was a cool picture, so I wanted to do it either way. But this is looking pretty good. I would say that we do want to get the sky in there, but it's going to be hard to do with these really fine tip markers. So we're going to have to come up with an interesting look for that. Probably some kind of like Van Gogh Starry Night type thing where we just have very small lines that combine into looking like something more shaded. But we'll figure that out. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for joining. The channel is called The Voice of Nick. On here I stream thrice a day, 7 days a week. If you want to see more, don't forget to hit the follow button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.